Hey, Ron, good morning. How are you doing today?
Very well, RJ. How you doing?
Yeah, so far so good. I'm like 2 cups of coffee in, feeling all right, feeling optimistic. So we're excited today. Another one of our topics in our ongoing series around e-commerce and AI. And today's topic actually blends those two together. So we're going to talk about the 7 ways that AI can benefit e-commerce. And there's a bunch. There's a ton in here. Here's 7 of the top ones we feel like can have an impact for you, and they're pretty straightforward. So we're going to talk about how AI can benefit your e-commerce efforts, both inside and outside of your platform, how it can be used in producing online content. Really, really a great way to apply it, something you can definitely take advantage of. And then the other piece is using it to analyze things like engagement and sales and those sort of things. So we've got a lot to cover today. It's going to be very applicable. Ron, maybe why don't you start us off with the number 1 on our list?
Yeah, well, the first one's obviously the easiest, and for most of us, we've been doing it for about 5 years, is AI to generate content, right? We're using it to generate product descriptions and meta tags and all kinds of fun stuff for our products in our clients' uh, implementations, right? So we're using it for enhanced keyword research. We're using it for optimized product descriptions. I've got a ton of clients that's crazy that let's just take trying to think of anybody. 3Com, right? They resell 3Com products. When 3Com sends them the spreadsheet with all of the data for the products to import them, they remove the product descriptions. And the reason they remove the product descriptions is because if they import the descriptions as well, the content won't be unique, and Google will penalize all of their clients because all of their clients will have identical content, and somebody is going to have the canonical pointing to that, which is probably 3Com themselves. And so none of those clients' pages are going to be indexed. Or if they put their own canonical and claim that it's unique, but it's plagiarized, Google could potentially penalize them because the content is exactly the same. So 99% of the time, when these suppliers provide information about their products, they provide the meta, like the color, the weight, the dimensions and all that kind of stuff, but they don't include the descriptions because they force their vendors, their resellers to write their own unique descriptions, which is the hardest part. So now, how long does it take you to manually write 50,000 descriptions for products, right? And not plagiarize or go out on Google and steal somebody else's. So for me, the first one is AI-powered product content matching capabilities. There's a lot there. Matter of fact, the latest statistic over the last 12 months shows that AI generated product descriptions can improve conversion rates by around 18%. So for me, that's the easiest low-hanging fruit. What do you got for us for the next one?
Yeah, the second one I think is really important, is AI, using AI to enhance, site search and navigation. I mean, we all know that the faster you can get somebody from whatever their intent is, what they're searching for, to that product, you're going to increase conversion. So there's a lot of things that AI can do to really to just make that work much more effectively. I mean, you can use it to support like long tail keywords. So it's not just the core things. Long tail is something that typically is more difficult because they're more finite results, but that gets somebody right to where they want to go. So if you can improve and use AI as your search and implement that as part of your site search, when somebody goes in to look for something, there is a much more greater likelihood of someone getting to the product they're looking for or what you want them to see, and therefore it's going to increase conversion. It's also using like natural language, so something that can interpret when someone's typing in a sentence versus typing in specific sort of product terms, to then interpret that to get them to the right products or right content. And so, AI, supports sort of semantic SEO approach and captures that intent directly, so that really, makes that user experience that much better. They're finding what they want, more likely to convert, more likely to come back. And, statistically, there's stats out there that say that if, using AI for search can increase conversion rates by up to 43%. I mean, I know that's a big number, but if you're taking those, typically when you're looking at e-commerce sort of conversion rates of like 1% or 2% or whatever it is, if you're taking that up by another 43, so you're going from 2% to 3%, that's going to be a material impact on revenue.
Yeah, well, and not only is that a big number, the negative is a bigger number. Remember, one of the ones you and I did a webinar we did a while ago, one of the statistics from it said that Google did a search that said if someone comes to your site and searches for a product and doesn't find in the search what they're looking for, 77% will never come back to your website. So that's the bigger one. I mean, the 43% increase conversion is huge, but 77% leaving your site and never coming back might even be bigger impact negatively.
Well, yeah. Especially when you start thinking about lifetime value, and your lifetime value is going to be zero if it doesn't start with some conversion, right? So like you're not only missing out in the short term, you're missing out huge in the long term.
Right. Yeah. So that one's a big one. Number 3, we use it for the meta tags, right? This is one of the ones that I like to use it for. So AI generated SEO meta and technical tags, right? So we've got a bunch of different, we've got the SEO page title, meta title, we've got the SEO description, we've got SEO keywords, which is difficult because a while ago, Bing started penalizing people for stuffing that field. So anything over 100 characters. So we can still use the SEO keyword meta field, but we can't overuse it like we used to. I remember a buddy of mine who was the CEO at an SEO company used to walk into a company and say, search this keyword. And you bring up a blank page and he goes, I rank number 1 on Google for that blank page. They're like, how did you do that? Well, keyword stuffing and all the black hat tricks we used to do, right? Which aren't allowed anymore. And they've really shut those down. So we need to be very careful, and we can use AI to help validate, make sure we don't do that. The other thing too is that a big one for me is the canonical URLs, right? So we can use it for those types of meta tags. I don't know if we have it. Let me check over here. I don't have it anymore. Oh, yes, we do, number 7. All right, I was going to jump forward too. So anyway, better and richer meta tags, SEO fields, ensuring we're not missing canonical URLs, that we don't have bad tags, that we don't have duplicate URLs, because that completely breaks indexing. And if you don't know what canonical is what we use to cite who the owner of the data is. That's why, like, I could go to a high school, if I was in high school taking civics, I could go to my teacher's website and go to their pages for this class, and I could probably see the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and all that. It's like, wait a minute, they're plagiarizing that. Yeah, because on that page, they point the canonical URL to the government's page where they stole and plagiarized that information. But basically what they're telling Google is, I don't own this content. That site does. So don't index me or penalize me for plagiarizing. I'm plagiarizing only for my students' convenience so they can find this information. So it stops indexing, which kind of violates the whole purpose of SEO, right? So canonicals, even duplicate canonicals, is a very bad thing. So using AI to ensure we don't have any of those in an audit formation really improves the mitigation of mistakes within your SEO content.
Yeah, that's a big one. The next one is I think, one that also we talk about, you got to have, it's a little bit, maybe you need to have a disclaimer, not really a disclaimer, but mention this, but it's dynamic pricing, right? And using AI for dynamic pricing. And what dynamic pricing does is really, it's looking at things like, competitors pricing, demand, those sort of things, to understand, well, what should I price this item as? Now, the where that gets a little bit sort of not risky slightly is that you may charge different prices to different people or different times or whatever it is, because we live in a very dynamic world. When you start looking at things like, like we all experienced with like supply, when there were, sort of, headwinds against things coming, literally coming, onshore, and supply chain and that sort of stuff. And demand was still high and supply was low. Well, guess what? The oldest, economic equation in the book is with, high demand and low supply, prices go up. So, but you can do that in near real time with AI on your site that's looking at those things and doing dynamic pricing so that you're maximizing margins. And, well, what could that mean? Well, some dynamic pricing could boost margins up to 22%.
Yeah.
right? And so, or just using AI powered pricing models, again, 19 to 20% lift in margin. So selling the same product, selling it at, an optimized price can drive revenue. And certainly today more than ever, margin is a critical piece of the business. We've got lots of clients that are facing sort of supply chain challenges. Some, price of goods is going up. So getting their margin to where it needs is really a key piece of their business viability. So using AI for dynamic pricing can be a huge benefit there.
Yeah, I mean, you think about it, we've been using things like kayak.com and Expedia, things like that forever. And typically what they're doing is they're doing the first half of that exercise, right? They go out and go, here's all the flights that I found. And then you can pick the cheapest yourself or pick one that, because the cheapest might have 3 stop layovers, right? I don't want that. Right? Where dynamic pricing is fully automated, where, hey, I want you to go out to Granger and Farm Supply and this and check their prices every morning at 5 a.m. and take the average, deduct 5% and set my price for that as my regular price every morning. So everybody knows I can be the price leader or whatever it is, right? Because remember, if you're not as big as they are, Granger might come in and Granger may run a sale one day and have a lost leader where they're losing money. And do you want to go in and lose more money and beat their lowest price by 5%, lose even more money? So you might want to have in that dynamic pricing a staging where it comes in stage and flags things and says, hey, you can't be less than 2% above cost because we can't lose money at all, or
Right.
less than 5% above. So you can build some stuff in that's great. Hey, go out and check my competitors, either average it out or take the lowest price, deduct 2% off the lowest price. So I am the price winner, but ensure that that price isn't more than 5%, less than 5% above my cost of goods on that day, whatever it is, right? So
Yeah.
it gets really complex and really cool. And that's what AI can do very, very well.
Yeah. Some fine tuning.
Absolutely. The next one is the chatbots and the user experience. I think we've all been experiencing that over the last year or so, right? I think pretty much everybody, especially those watching this webinar, have dealt with chatbots. So let's talk about them. Number one, it's definitely going to improve your user's site experience. It can help drive immediate sales. Hey, I'm looking for a really good gaming laptop for my kid for Christmas, but they said I have to have X number of RAM, but I can't afford more than $1,500. Do you have anything that matches that? Things like that, right? Well, I don't have anything in stock, but we do have one that has this. However, the RAM is upgradable. We also sell RAM upgrades for that laptop for an extra $132. So that total price is $1,100. If you can go, it's $100 over your budget, whatever. It can do a lot more dynamic help than a traditional just question and answer bot can take care of. So the other things that it can do is, especially when it comes into Black Friday and the holidays and things like that, people are up in bed on their laptop searching for deals at night. They're working after hours. And if your people aren't there after hours helping them, who's going to help them make a decision to come buy from you? It's going to be the chatbot, because they work 24/7. Some of the statistics that have come back: chatbots improve customer retention 38%. They can reduce your support costs by 60%. From a study from last year, it said that generative AI chatbots drove 1,800% more traffic and 9% more conversions on Black Friday, just one day last year.
And Black Friday is right around the corner.
It's right around the corner. So, mind-blowing statistics.
Yeah.
So if you're wondering if AI can really impact your online e-commerce, look no further. The statistics have proved it, especially from last year's results.
Yeah. This next one, I think, is it will take a little bit, it's a little bit deeper dive on the implementation of it, because you're talking about some of the core pieces of your site. This is using AI to generate calls to action, optimize your funnel and your checkout, right? So, you maybe need to have ways, there's different ways that you can use content blocks and things like that to maybe insert AI in some of the components, or depending upon what technology your site's built on. If it is more of a headless CMS sort of application, this is something that probably you can do a little bit more effectively. But it's where and what are you placing as your calls to action based on who's on your site. So it is sort of a component of personalization, but what are you asking them to do specifically and when? And the great thing about AI is it's much easier now to do like A/B testing. Okay, try this and try this, and the winner is that, right? So there's things that now you used to need entire systems to do that AI can sort of do pretty much out of the box. So that would really, so that you're making a call to action specific to what that person's intent is, where they're at, those sort of things on your site. That's going to provide a much more personalized experience and increase their likelihood of them performing that call to action, whatever you're choosing that to be. You can get it. It can be a little more complex than that if you want it to be, where you can actually adjust the page flows and taking them through a specific journey based on how AI is interpreting what they're doing and where you want them to go. That probably is a little bit more sort of complex to do, but there's a lot of opportunity there. And really, again, going back, well, what's the benefit? Well, the benefit is that using these sort of approaches, especially on calls to action and using A/B to test and optimize those call to actions through AI, is you can see a lift of up to 20% of conversion. And again, when you're talking about significant traffic and significant numbers, going back to the, previously you talked about if you can go up 43% or up 20%, all those things are material. And you start stacking those on top of each other and you're taking your conversion rate from 2% to 3% to 3.5% to 4%, all of a sudden you're doubling your revenue. Massive, massive downstream beneficial impact to do it. So it's an iterative approach to getting big gains through leveraging AI effectively, and doing so much easier than was previously available to do just a few years ago.
Yeah, it's compounding interest, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to do number 7, and then I want you to go ahead and summarize with the statistics, right? We've got some big statistics at the end as reminders. So the last one, I started to articulate it back when we talked about the meta tags. I want to take just a second to talk about things. So when I moved here to Texas 20 years ago, besides cold email marketing, SEO was really big. And so we focused a tremendous amount of our marketing on SEO, and SEO produced results up until probably really 2 years ago. SEO was driving most of the results for the businesses that I worked at, being a marketing VP. And even here at Clarity, I would say, anywhere between 70 and 90%, we have a lot of referrals, but 70 to 90% of our leads in a given month were coming in from SEO, and we invested heavily in SEO. About 2 years ago, that started to change with the introduction of AEO, right? Answer engine optimization. And answer engine optimization started taking off. And that's kind of what number 7 is here. And now what's happened in the last 6 months, what shows up in position 1, if you go out to Google right now and type in a question, what is AEO? It's going to come up and it's going to start spinning and it's going to go AI generative answer. And AI is going to generate an answer. That's GEO. That's generative answer optimization. So now all of a sudden you've got GEO taking over. Then you've got the SEO top result next. Then you've got people also ask these questions, and then it's got the AEO answers. And then finally you go back to the organic results 2, 3, 4, 5, So all of the work we've done for the last 25 years on SEO has now just been overtaken by the AI generated answer and the AEO, the answer. How do we do those? Well, AI is the way to do that, right? We got to go back and rewrite a significant amount of the content we have on our pages. How do we do that? We take that content and we slap it into an AI tool and say, here, go optimize this content for GEO. And it spits it back out, putting all of that structure in that we need to put in for the GEO. The other thing too that I like to do for clients is, if there's a product, if there is a service that I can write some really good FAQs and answer those FAQs, not only will I put those in an HTML nice accordion on the page for convenience for those people shopping or looking at that page, but then I'll feed into AI and say, here, take these question and answers and rewrite them in a JavaScript FAQ snippet that I can put in the header to be submitted for FAQ snippets for AEO. So number 7 is use AI to help optimize for GEO and AEO, because on given months, our leads have dropped anywhere from 30 to 70% from SEO only because they're moving to AEO and GEO. And it's a good thing we've been investing in that for the last more than 2 years, because our leads haven't really gone down. They've just moved. And so if you're not moving where your leads are coming from, if you're not investing in those, I'm sure you're taking a hit in your leads right now. And that's why.
And that is massive right there. And that's only going to continue. And that disparity is only going to keep shifting. No question about it. So that's super important. Well, this has been phenomenal, and we'll sort of wrap it up. I mean, I guess to do so, the question is okay, so why do I need AI? Yeah. I think we talked about a lot of those things and sort of the compounding interest of all these elements. But really, summing all that up, statistics are showing that, companies that are leveraging AI are seeing revenue increases of 10 to 12%. It's a big number, 10 to 12%, when you're talking about overall top line revenue, and conversion improvements of 3% to 23%. Wow. So definitely lifts in conversion of what they were traditionally getting to what they're getting by using AI. And, not only that, from just looking at data and understanding how your business is performing, we're seeing 15 to 30% improved profit and forecastability of that, understanding what's going on and how you're interpreting those sort of things. So, not only what's performing, but your ability to analyze that data and understand what's driving those increases. And ultimately, we talked a little bit about this, especially when we were talking about site search, for example, that stat that you had of 77% of people won't come back if they can't find what they're looking for. A lot of this is around customer satisfaction. Are they getting what they're looking for? Are they having the best experience? Using AI, statistically, we're seeing can increase customer satisfaction scores by 25%. So that's a big lift. We're talking about, CSAT, how are people feeling about their interaction? 25% lift, massive. And lastly, the last stat I'll say is that 30% of e-commerce leaders will allocate greater than 10% of their investments on AI. What does that mean? That means that if you're not investing in AI, you're taking a massive risk, because your competitors are going to be seeing these improvements, and what your results used to be are going to decrease, very much like what you just talked about, Ron, in SEO, right? People are going to see their site traffic just drop dramatically. And if you're really relying on SEO to drive a big portion of your traffic, you're going to suffer. So these sort of things, it's no longer nice to haves. This is need to have. It's an arms race, and you have to be able to compete. And here we just went through 7 ways you can do so. We're happy to have, and there's many, many more. These are just the ones that sort of were top of the list for us. And we'd love to have a conversation with you one-on-one about your specific business, what you could be doing. How do you start and do this incrementally? By talking to either the Clarity team and Ron, who's definitely a subject matter expert, or the Friends of Commerce / Friends of AI team to do so on our side. So anything else on your side, Ron?
No, that was great. Thanks for tying it off. Yeah, we obviously offer free consultations. Either or both of us would love to chat with you about your project. We've been in this space for a very long time. This is literally what we do. This is the world we live in. And it's always good to talk to a coach, right? If you're going to take on a new sport, talk to a coach, figure out from somebody who really knows what they're doing, and we're happy to help. We'd love to meet you. Thanks again for attending today. Bye for now.